Yeah. I mean, no, that first game was great. I'm looking forward to the game 2 here. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see this series go to all 3 games, especially if it's another game like last time.
Yeah.
Both teams made a fair amount of mistakes, actually, and both teams capitalized on those mistakes. So I think this game is going to be mostly about the team that makes the most adjustments from the previous game and plays their best, because I could definitely see either team winning here.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't the prettiest of a first game there, as you kind of put it. Both teams making some very questionable stakes at time, whether it was item choices or initiation choices and whatnot. But at the same time, again, it's a learning experience overall, and it's about capitalizing as well off the other team's mistakes, which, both teams had their moments. So, of course, in the end, Saishi did defeat Boce, which is why they're up 1-0, heading into game number 2. And on that note, I think we are good to go. Game number 2 has actually started, so let's go ahead and jump right into it and take a look at what is actually happening. The blind bands taking place right there. We had Tempest and Parasite for the Legion team, of course, on Boce, and then Ophelia and Tempest actually for Saishi. So that's actually really interesting. Only 3 bands total, and all of them being jungle bands with the blind bands here. So I guess neither team really wants to see any jungle players or jungle heroes here.
Or both teams have a strategy in mind, that where it's like, okay, we don't want to see these specific counters to what we're going to do.
Yep.
Especially Parasite, obviously being a counter to so many of those jungle heroes. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of opportunity here for some heroes that we often see banned and just are not making it in here this time around. I want to see if we see more passive style play from Saishi this time around, or if they go with an aggressive lineup like they did during the first game, especially with, you take a look at heroes that are on the board that a lot of times we'll see getting picked, like Mage Bane, Dark Lady, Silhouette, a lot of those heroes that have that really dominant late game we have not seen yet in the series, so we'll see what happens.
And on that note, a couple of very interesting locks, and more so because we have Monkey King and Warbeast locked so far, but the strange thing is that Boce was actually the one that locked Monkey King, and Saishi's the one that played him last game though, and the Warbeast on the other hand, Boce played Warbeast last game, but Saishi locked him, so a little bit of difference there, and then Soul Stealer on top of that, so that that kind of raises some questions of, is that more of a troll-style ban to see if maybe Boce responds with troll bans himself, or if that actually is a legitimate ban, and maybe hoping for a situation where Soul Stealer could actually be viable in a lineup? And I know there isn't many of those that exist nowadays in what is the current meta game, and it seems like the big reason for that is just because it's so aggressive. And now the 1-versus-1 mid has come back quite strong, and so maybe in that sense we could start seeing Soul Stealer more and more somewhat, but man, he is so susceptible to ganks, which is definitely a big reason why he's kind of died off. But yeah, we'll see how these follow-ups are. It's going to be Polywalk Priest and one more lock here from Boce.
Well, I mean, with that being said, it's going to come down to the last pick. It used to be back in the day, like Soul Stealer was first pick material.
Yeah.
But now with this type of setup, I think either team, especially if it's if it's Saishi that wants to pick up Soul Stealer, they're going to have to wait to see what happens with Boce and what kind of lineup they're running to determine whether or not they're going to run like a solo mid. And if they're going to run a solo mid, if Soul Stealer is a solo mid who can handle that kind of handle whoever he's going to be playing up against, so we'll see exactly what happens here. But the final locks come out: Accursed and Valkyrie. So Accursed. Very, very unusual. Valkyrie, kind of unusual as a lock, but not really unusual to be seeing played in the game. Despite the nerfs that she took with the Javelin of Light, she still is a hero that has capability to farm well into the early and mid game section, and has some good late game potential if you get the items on her. So, really wouldn't be surprised to see her in the game, but definitely a lot of really strong heroes still out on the board, and now we're going to start with the bans.
Yeah, Mage Bane, Silhouette, and Dark Lady. None of those 3 heroes being locked there after not being blind banned. That's, Trout brings it up all the time. That's really that holy trinity of hard carry heroes that you should at least try to get on one of your teams, if not both sides. But neither one of them being locked, and now going through the banning phase, we'll see, as we do see Dark Lady already getting one of those bans, but Bubbles, Moraxis, and Pebbles on top of that. That lock pool, yeah, especially to fit, I mean, the Curse, and then, like I said, the Valkyrie, not strange pick by any means, but to see in the lock pool, definitely strange in its own right. So this lock-picking stage is actually going to be really interesting this time around, as there we go with a couple of final bans. It is going to be Jeremiah, and then, sure enough, Mage Bane. So now Silhouette is on the board. We'll see if Boce looks to snatch up Silhouette here as a very powerful carry. But again, you look at the locked heroes. 4 out of those 6 heroes can really be considered solid, whether it's from semi to hard carry heroes. You got Monkey King, Warbeast, Soul Stealer, and Valkyrie. And of course, yeah, Tundra actually on the board, and didn't even notice that, but not surprising to see him snap pick there by Boce as their first pick. So, but now the question is, Saishi, do they go with the Silhouette as their carry pickup of choice here, or do they wait for the lockpick pool? So we'll see.
Now, with the power of the minions that you get from Call of the Winter, it's really no surprise that Tundra continues to be an extremely opportunistic pick, really. Like, he really is first pick material, if not ban or lock material. And, Boce going to snatch him up right here. So, we'll see what happens. He did lose a little bit with with Cold Shoulder being changed to a magic attack instead of physical, wherein before you could easily cancel a Nullstone and then use the Avalanche immediately after that. So Cold Shoulder no longer goes through a Shrunken Head to be able to stop, to be able to use that Avalanche freely on a Shrunken Head enabled target, but still a very powerful hero.
Now, over there, Succubus and Wretched Hag to follow up. Now, we actually saw Succubus the other day. Granted, it was, I believe it was by Sosh against Fnatic Raid Call. Earlier on in this tournament, to say the least, it didn't work out that great for Sosh. But Trough was bringing up some points that Succubus, and definitely agree with them, of course, that really, in a 1-versus-1 matchup in mid especially, Succubus can be considered the best 1-versus-1 mid matchup hero in the game. I mean, just the power that she brings to the table with her attack animation, with her base damage, with her range, which actually isn't the greatest, only 500, but having that Heartache and the Smitten for CC purposes, and then eventually, of course, hitting a level 6, it's basically a guaranteed kill. I mean, if you get that Succubus hold Heartache combination off, you're looking good, at least at the level 6 mark. So I've always been a fan of this hero as well. She brings so much to the table. It seems like she can actually be quite the CC hero, with that Smitten, with that Mesmerize. So
yeah, Smitten is so underrated as an ability. I mean, now the change to it, it used to be minus base damage, and now it's just total damage overall.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I guess, arguable about which was better, the minus 120% base damage, because there were some heroes, especially with some item builds, where you could put heroes into the negatives and doing negative damage, which oddly enough doesn't heal you if you get attacked by that person, but they just don't do any damage. But the minus 40% is definitely a really strong anti-carry tool during the late game, and it has really long range, 1,000 range, really low cooldown, and a relatively low mana cost, not like Dark Lady's, Taint Soul or anything like that. But 125 mana once you get later on in the game isn't really that big of a deal, considering that she's got pretty decent, she's got okay intelligence gain, 2.1 per level, but she doesn't usually struggle with mana later on in the game. So, but being able to use that to cancel Null Stones from far away, or to just overall mitigate the damage you're doing, I think it's a pretty underrated ability. However, you talk about the combinations. Succubus Valkyrie right there picked up. I mean, that is a really old school lane, and as long as Beatus isn't playing Valkyrie, I don't foresee any missed arrows coming in when you land that Mesmerize and Valkyrie Javelin of Light combination.
Poor Beatus.
We'll see if they're able. That play will live through the annals of history as being one of the worst plays ever witnessed by a professional player.
I just love I believe it was Korok was the one actually playing Succubus.
Yeah.
and he types out LOL.
Like, right
misses.
I mean, no one who witnessed that or knows about that will ever forget that. And I mean, even to this day, you'll see people talking about on the forums about that was worse than Beta's arrow or stuff. Like, that's the standard by which all terrible plays are set.
Oh, poor guy, poor guy. But yeah, it's so true at the same time. But no, but man, so this picking phase turned out very interesting, and the main reason why I say that is because especially after last game, we got finished saying how Saishi was actually the team that drafted a very powerful and almost you're more of an expected lineup, where Boce was the one that went kind of off the wall with some of their picks. Now, it's opposite this time. I mean, we have Boce this time. Granted, they do have a curse thrown in there, but at the same time, what I'm guessing they're going to be doing is actually, what are they going to be doing? Are they going to be running a tri-lane silhouette, actually, with a cursed Plague Rider, maybe? I mean, that actually could be very interesting. But overall, their lineup is pretty sound. Definitely top-tier heroes over here on the Legion side. As I mentioned, that Silhouette as a carry choice. They got the Tundra first pick. Polywog Priest, very dominant solo player or hero. So we'll see how it works out for them. So, yeah, maybe the lanes are actually going to be interesting. But yeah, so I actually do like Boce's lineup in the sense of more power to it. But man, Saishi's lineup, you talked about the Valkyrie Succubus. I was a little bit concerned when they picked up that Dr. Repulsor, because I'm sitting there, you got Doctor, Hag, and Succubus. It's like 3 solos right there. What are they going to do? But, Succubus Valkyrie could definitely be very powerful as you're putting in. Sure enough, they are running that at the top lane, it looks like. So then, of course, Warbeast going to be in that jungle, whether it's the Legion or the Hellborn. But yeah, this should be really a fascinating game here, especially with the Hellborn lineup. We are stressing so much about Succubus pick, but Dr. Repulsor, I mean, talk about another hero that we never see. He has died off as a hero at all that we see on the competitive scene, but picked up here out of nowhere by Saishi. I wonder what Angry Devo is going to do here on Doctor.
Well, it's going to be, I think, kind of a rough setup in the middle lane for him, despite it being a 1 versus 1 against Tundra. Tundra is such an exquisite 1 versus 1 hero. And Dr. Repulsor, until he hits level 6, not really that much in the way of escape mechanism. So an early level into Cold Shoulder will allow for Tundra to be able to get real up close and personal with this Dr. Repulsor. And Dr. Repulsor does not have the largest life pool very early on, so he's going to be very susceptible to Tundra's damage early on in the game. However, Dr. Repulsor, he is a hero. It was funny, we were just talking about Korok and Beatis. You talk about Korok and Dr. Repulsor, that is just one of those match made in heaven combinations.
Yeah.
And we've seen some other players obviously do very well on him as well. Zoinix New comes to mind, especially in their win at DreamHack Summer 2011 against KD Gaming, where he had played an amazing Dr. Repulsor in that game. But overall, a very, very interesting combination. Silhouette, we're taking that Mesmerize. Valkyrie, however, unable to get into position to land anything, and I don't know if they'd really be able to do anything anyway.
Accursed
up here, yeah, Accursed is just so ridiculous.
That goes back to that pick a little bit more. Obviously, we got a little bit sidetracked there in the picking stage while they were finishing off, but the Accursed pick makes even that much more sense. Going up against a Succubus, Accursed is fantastic against the Succubus. Not only does it get rid of that Mesmerize, it'll also remove the Smin, if I'm not mistaken, but on top of that, I don't believe it removes the ultimate. That would actually be really, really powerful, but it will,
I think it does.
Does it? Does it really? Because if it does, that's pretty absurd, actually. But I don't know. Well, I'm sure there'll be a case where we'll end up saying it. Man, you might be right, actually. Maybe it does, but I don't know.
Maybe not. All I know is even if it doesn't, like the Fire Shield still, I believe, absorbs that damage that you take from it. So, I mean, it's still going to be a mitigating factor, as you see in the middle lane. Tundra, again, using that Cold Shoulder, getting up close and personal with Dr. Repulsor. Dr. Repulsor already relatively low on mana, and he's only got 300 gold right now, so it's not like he's got a bottle coming to him anytime soon. So he's going to have to play careful because, again, Tundra, he's very, very strong. He's got enough mana to land at least a couple of these piercing shards. And, I mean, it could get very interesting here for Dr. Repulsor if he's not able to really help facilitate that farm. He is going to pick up this Tablet of Haste here.
Oh, bottom lane real quickly, actually. Maybe a Bloodlust kill coming out. Blink was already used by Wretched. Actually comes back with the Sonar Skirmish and turns around with a final auto attack. Well played by Hydra right there. Using the line of sight to perfection, actually. Coming back in just in time to hit that Sonar Scream in the final auto attack. And sure enough, picks up the Bloodlust kill. And what was actually looking like to be a pretty back and forth lane at the bottom there, you can say it's definitely won now by Wretched Hag as a result of that kill. So big kill coming out, big start here coming out for the Hellborn team, especially at the bottom lane here.
Yeah, well, we'll see exactly what happens. Especially with that early Bloodlust kill. Hag, definitely not a hero you want to allow take off in the early game. It can be very, very devastating. This top lane, however, looking at the stats so far between Valkyrie and Silhouette, Valkyrie right now just sitting at 9-2, where Silhouette's 8-2. So not doing too badly up here at the top lane, and despite the fact that they're also not really taking any kind of hit as far as the experience, unlike this Legion team, where having 3 heroes in the lane definitely is going to be a little more detrimental to the early experience gain. We'll see if that kind of plays any role as we approach the mid game.
Yeah,
mid a little bit. That's kind of weird.
I'm a little bit, Warbeast. And that's what I was gonna say too. It is kind of a tri lane versus a pseudo tri lane, but this is a very weak pseudo tri lane in the sense that Warbeast is not your ganking jungle hero by any means. I mean, with the minions, if you can control them correctly and maybe get good positioning in a flank, can definitely bring in some damage. But obviously, you bring 0 CC to the table when it comes down to assisting with some kills. But on that note too, as you're mentioning with the creep scores, I'm shocked by that. Valkyrie should not be having as good of a time as she is, I feel like. I mean, Plague Rider, it doesn't seem like Plague Rider is even attempting to harass too much. We did see at the bottom lane, actually, Polyglot Priest and Wretched Deck are going to be going at it once again. Will Wretched Deck be able to get away? He does have his blink this time. And it looks like he should be fine. It's like, oh, he's going to get tongue-tied here. Going to be followed up with a Hex, most likely. No Hex coming out from Polyglot Priest. Will Wretched Deck go offensive? Nice health potion used right there from Polyglot Priest. What is Wretched Deck doing? She blinks away at the last second. Lucky that the catapult doesn't attack her right there. And she is going to survive for now. You do see actually Succubus even porting in to try to maybe turn something around. But Wretched Deck will end up living in the end. But, man, he made that very dangerous there at that bottom lane for him. But, yeah, Valkyrie, I'm honestly shocked he's getting this much far, especially with a Plague Rider. I mean, this should not be happening. And this right now is very good play from Raised even, I guess, coming out playing the Valkyrie.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're doing an amazing job here considering what they're up against. But as you made a mention of earlier, it's not like this Legion team tri-lane is a kill tri-lane. I mean, yeah, if Silhouette can get in a good position and combine that with a nice Contagion nuke from Plague Rider and a Curse being able to kind of do his thing, they might be able to pick off somebody. But Valkyrie's going to play it safe, using that Courageous Leap when needed to be. By the way, a Curse is actually TPing out, and he's going to make his way to the bottom lane. But it's not going to matter. He just showed up a little bit too late. Polyglot Priest does end up paying the price with, it looked like Succubus picking up the kill right there. So a nice little kill for her, going to help facilitate the farm that she was not getting in the top lane. Meanwhile, it has become a 1 versus 1 at the top lane between Silhouette and this Valkyrie. And Valkyrie, already has a little bit of advantage having the levels, and her farm is better itself. So, that 4 creep kill lead. Things are going pretty well here for Saishi early on in the game. Nice stat and experience lead, especially at only 5 minutes in.
Yeah, Calomane made a very big mistake there at the bottom lane. He played way too aggressive, a lot more aggressive than they should have, frankly, against a Wretched Deck. I know hindsight's 20/20 and all, but you could tell as soon as he started diving in. Obviously, Succubus being there completely helped the situation, but he really just should not have chased Wretched Deck like he did. And on top of that, as you were also talking about, a Cursed ported in, maybe trying to save him. Didn't even get close, and so that's been all that time for a Curse going down there. In fact, now he's just made it back to the top lane within these last couple of seconds here. And while that was also happening, Silhouette was basically going 1 versus 1 versus Valkyrie. And Valkyrie, again, leading the creep farm against Silhouette by 5 or 6 creep kills, which I still just find absurd. I mean, that should not be happening whatsoever here at this top side, and that's really unfortunate for Boce, because, they come in here with, actually, again, I like that a Curse pickup, especially against a Silhouette. Very smart choice on their part. And, when it comes to the overall lineup, the more standard lineup, they definitely have that. But right now, I think it's safe to say Saishi is actually having a much better time here, as you could argue they're winning that top lane, definitely winning the bottom lane. Then the middle lane, Tundra's actually in a lot of trouble as Dr. Repulsor goes and using an ultimate, and this is what Dr. Repulsor does. Oh, the avalanche in the last second, the final attack, it is going to go off on Camel right there, and Tundra gets the kill just prior. Once again, though, Polyglot Priest gets taken out, as it seems like, what he's doing all the way up there is completely beyond me, but, man, big, safe comeback there by Tundra actually in the middle lane.
Well, he just got out of place. That's ultimately what happened. And as far as the bottom lane, I watched the whole team fight go down. Wretched Hag was able to blink behind him, and that's what that bloodless kill really set the whole bottom lane up for failure. Yeah. Because not only did he get that extra gold, he got that bloodless gold, he was able to pick up the early bottle, and picking up the bottle in the side lane, perhaps a little bit questionable, but when you're playing a hero like Wretched Hag and you already have a large advantage, actually more some action up top, as Dr. Repulsor coming in and going to use that ultimate on Plague Rider. Plague Rider may be able to escape this, not very likely, as Succubus is going to come in, and the final auto attack goes to Valkyrie. So Plague Rider will eventually fall right there. It looks like action may not be up yet. Mesmerize, no, not going to be able to get in range to use that. So A really nice kill at the top lane. Saishi continues to focus on run on all cylinders here in this game, really increasing that lead. 3,500 experience lead at 8 minutes in the game. That is just ridiculous. Tundra, however, making his way up here. He does not have the ultimate up for... Oh, there's the ultimate there. 1 second. It was on cooldown. And he's not going to choose to use the Avalanche, wherein Silhouette could have easily picked him off. And are they going to try to go for the dive here on Valkyrie? He's almost in range to land that Avalanche, but really no support. At least it's pretty far away. Silhouette trying to get in range. Meanwhile, Dr. Boce coming from behind. He's going to try to use the ultimate, but the Avalanche will be used on him. Will it be enough to take him out? Yes, it will. And he's going to pick up this third kill here for this Tundra. So all that great things we were talking about from the Hellborn team beginning to come undone here, as Tundra really picking it up in the top lane.
Well, yeah, the thing is, though, I mean, he's obviously doing fantastic, and he's big time saving grace here for Boce. But again, while that was happening, Polywalk Priest, my guess is at least he went for a ward drop on a war base that obviously wasn't successful. And he used his wards, but got minimal damage on the tower, and Warbase ended up living and even got some farm out of the wards, from what I could see at least. So, Polywalk Priest just not having the greatest game so far here, but Tundra, like I said, maybe that saving grace right now for Boce, and that's good for them, because if it wasn't for him having such a dominating time really in that middle lane, again, now being 3-0, and again, did very well against Dr. Repulsor, then this game could very likely be getting to the it's over point. But because of his success, at least, definitely they're still in it. You do got Silhouette, although, again, she hasn't had the greatest farm by any means. She's going to start trying to recover at least. She does have early Steam Boots. Well, I say early, not really early, but she does have Steam Boots, so that's a good start at least. But still plenty of way to go. But yeah, right now I still think it's safe to say the Hellborn side in the advantage. You got a Wretched Act, 340 gold per minute leading the way. And then Warbeast being very quiet. This is what he does, though. You know, sitting in that jungle, doing his own thing. He does choose to go Steam Boots, actually, first, as well as before even going straight for that Abyssal Skull. And not something, actually, I believe it's safe to say, not something we see too often. Usually we see right for that Abyssal Skull, but he does have the Hungry Spirit now, and is going to be finishing that Abyssal Skull here in the very near future. But yeah, for Saishi, you know, they got that working. And again, Valkyrie, the game that she's had, not like it's standout impressive by any means, but for the circumstances, it really is. 245 gold per minute, and she's level 7 on top of that. Not doing too shabby for Saishi when it's all said and done. So yeah, I definitely like the position that they're in, but it may be getting a little bit more difficult for them. You do got second base coming from either war trap, not successful once again. Valkyrie easily able to leap out. There's the arrow on top of the mesmerized combination, but the Hellborn team not going to be nearly enough to follow it up. Nice job by Tundra coming in once again with the cold shoulder. Avalanche combination gets the kill on a Valkyrie, and Succubus just going to have to run away. She should be fine. The Kuriel's not fast enough. Cannot get the slow attack off. Tundra's chasing though, gets the cold shoulder, and actually may be able to make something here. Succubus does not have enough mana for Mesmerize, and it's not going to be enough though. She will be fine. But Tundra, man, I mean, Tundra is just doing all that he can to keep his team in this game here.
Yeah, he's really been the saving grace, and looks like they might head mid. We'll see what happens here as Warbeast is wisely going to head south to meet up with the rest of his teammates in the event that anything were to happen. He may just try to, or decide to head right back up. I don't think he's going to do the Ancients at this point. It's still really early on. He's going to at least attempt to put a little bit of damage out here on his Dragon Master, so it looks like he'll be okay. I mean, picking up the early Steam Boost you mentioned, it is a little bit odd, but again, given the additional attack speed, the additional damage he's going to get from that, and the fact that he's already got the Hungry Spirit means that he can tank most of the damage and allow his Hellhounds to actually do some damage without necessarily just dying, because he can tank the creeps himself.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit odd, but I really don't have anything against it.
Yeah, it's not like it's set him back drastically by any means. I mean,
and it's not like the Legion team is putting a whole lot of pressure on him. At least not successfully. Cat Lo Mein once again being picked off here in the top, as yeah, we did see the combination of Mesmerize into Javelin of Light coming into play there. So Cat Lo Mein starting off this game 0-4-1, under 200 gold per minute. In fact, the only person over 200 gold per minute is that Tundra, who's at 320, and he's almost leading the game right now. Very close.
He is in a lot of trouble, and sure enough gets taken out there as Dr. Polson, an illusion Wretched Act comes in, gets a kill, and they get the tower kill on top of it as Warbeast comes in to clean it up. So ugly sequence coming out right there for Boce. That was actually Warbeast got even credit for the kill being there as well. And I was even going to go over to the Legion Ancients and look to steal them. And I got to think that Abyssal Skull, yeah, he definitely has enough money for it. It's just a matter of purchasing it and delivering it. So, you know, there was some signs of life there for a little bit. Again, Tundra doing all that he can at least, but it is starting to get pretty ugly here for Boce. And Saishi, on the other hand, nearly 7,000 gold lead, 6,500 experience lead. We're only 13 minutes in. That is very difficult to actually recover from. So the very unique lineup here for Saishi is working out. And, sure, Boce has definitely made some questionable mistakes. And, especially this top lane, I still can't get over that, how well Valkyrie did. But, you got to play the game after all. And clearly Saishi's showing that. Frankly, they are the better team, at least so far in game number 2.
Yeah, well, I think you said everything that needs to be said right there. It's basically how it is. I mean, you look at that stat advantage right now: 7,000 gold, 6,500 experience. Again, it's not like they've got a huge. They got a couple towers down, so that accounts for probably close to. It's about 3,000 gold right there. But I mean, even 4,000 gold lead and 6,700 experience lead at 15 minutes or 14 minutes into the game, that is a ridiculous amount. And when you look at the two teams, you see Warbeast starting off so well in comparison to the Silhouette, and things just not going well. Succubus is going to end up going down there, but not before she's able to help out Wretched Hag, get a double tap. That Wretched Hag in a little bit of trouble. Will be able to blink away, and she should be just fine using those bottle charges to help her come back. And nobody really coming to help out, so if she doesn't blink away, she may be in a little bit of trouble. And yes, she will be able to just go ahead and get onto there. Meanwhile, again, at the top lane, Cat Lomain, he just cannot find any place to farm right now. And there's they're really not giving him any chance to come back after that really bad start he had against Wretched Hag in the bottom lane. So, I mean, I think it goes back to the one-on-one situation. Polywog against Dr. Repulsor, I think would have been a pretty good setup. And I think Tundra's a lot more suited to handle a side lane than Polywog Priest is. So, again, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here with Cat Lomain. He's just not having a very good game.
Yeah, well, again, it isn't just obviously we're giving a lot of we're harping on him quite a bit because again, he just isn't.
Oh,
but
5 second there on Polywog Priest, and
there we go.
Also coming in to finish him off. So
it's just one of those cases where it's clearly, he got off to a bad start. Obviously, he got bloodlusted. Maybe it was a little bit of a mental mind game for him there almost, where it's like, I should have had that kill instead. I got bloodlusted. Now I'm pissed off. Well, it's it's just continuing to go down and downhill. But as a team, it really does continue to be Boce just. He had nothing to do with his top lane. He was obviously at the bottom lane. So obviously, again, as a team, Boce is honestly failing. More so than just specifically him, but obviously that's not helping. But anyways, we're now coming up to the 16-minute mark here, and I really do feel like it is starting to get to that point of Saishi's just getting way too big of a lead. Now looking at a 12,000 gold lead, nearly 9.5 thousand experience lead. And, you got a Warbeast. He actually did go the puzzle box build. I know Trial from Midor has stress. He's usually not a fan of that whatsoever. But honestly, in this case, I definitely don't see a big problem with that, especially before he even got the puzzle box, he actually pushed the secondary middle tower by himself. So he's going to become mass pusher. Post-haste was actually picked up on Wretched Hag. She's had that for a little bit now. She's even picked up an Arcana Sense. Succubus locking down Plague Gunner. In comes Wretched Hag with the Sun on screen. Plague Gunner tried to get off the Plague. It looked like at the last second. Wasn't going to happen though. Succubus now getting avalanched. And we will have a vote to pause here actually coming out from the Hellborn team as Angry Devo playing that Dr. Repulsor to want to do so. So Succubus may end up going down here. He does have a Mesmerize actually, but of course with a curse
and
right there.
Heartache is up as well.
Yeah, but a curse is here with a shield, so sure, if he does Mesmerize, then not going to do too much. So probably will be taken out, but...
No, he just Mesmerize a Cursed. Mesmerize a Cursed,
sure.
Heartache, Tundra. Hope that Wretched Hag can get back there in time. However, Silhouette is kind of hanging around as well. So, I mean, if this does get turned around... Although, Hag still has Bat Blast, so...
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
level 2 on top of that.
Yeah, this definitely could be turned around. And I want to say that, like, if this ends up getting turned around and both Tundra and Silhouette end up falling, then we'll probably see a vote to concede because, like, their only hope is that Tundra can continue to farm as well as he is, and that Silhouette can come back a little bit. And she has made a bit of a recovery from the early game, but it's just not nearly been on the level that it needs to be. I think one of the biggest reasons for that is that obviously we've seen Saishi move around quite a bit in this game. They're not giving any room or any breathing room to anyone in this Hellborn or this Legion team to farm, but they're also keeping that jungle locked down. So even if they couldn't farm in the lanes, maybe they'd be able to duck in and stack the jungle a little bit and hope Silhouette could come back a little bit. That's not happening, and you can see the wars and stuff like that coming out. So we'll see what happens. Wretched Hag coming back in, instead going to just turn around right here. Silhouette tried to survive, but was not able to get the Heartache off in time.
I think she tried to mesmerize herself, actually, but she accidentally mesmerized the Curiel, because it doesn't make any sense to do that. So, oh, but we see Wretched Hag jumping in here. He does use a Bat Blast, go up with the kill on the Silhouette, but of course Silhouette with a split. She'll get the Haunt off. Now she forces the illusion, knowing the curse is coming back in, and Wretched Hag is just going to blink away before too much happens. But, oh, by the way, in the middle lane, Polywog Priest yet again falls victim to another hero, this time Dr. Repulsor, as he goes down and apparently solos him near the base even. So it's like what are you going to do? I mean, is that really his fault? Just farming outside the base, and all of a sudden gets jumped by a level 10, now a level 11 Dr. Repulsor even. But so the struggles definitely continue there. But yeah, good attempt by Wretched Hag to try to turn it around, but obviously not successful, as Silhouette does survive, and at least she's good for now. She picks up a Blessed Orb. So Joke Shot here on Silhouette, 247 gold per minute. I mean, he's doing his part. Not even that great, obviously, but still he's attempting to do his part as far as coming back in this game, but a lot to come. Portal Key just picked up on Tundra, so that's obviously, again, he's definitely doing his part, as we've stressed throughout this game. Again, being played by Cabor, but just simply put, not enough. Level 3 Puzzle Box, I believe, has actually just been finished on Warbeast. In fact, there we go. Yeah, Level 3 Puzzle Box. We're only 18 minutes in. Puzzle Box, Level 3, Steam Boots, and Abyssal Skull on Warbeast, who's farming over 500 gold per minute. He's going to go straight for Kongor. Again, not too surprising there. Succubus being here, as well as now Valkyrie joining the party. And this could be a very quick Kongor kill. And the Legion team, I don't even think they even know what's going on. But, well, this could be what Saishi needs to just ultimately finish this game here now in a token of life. We'll see.
Yeah, especially with all the push potential they have. Maybe actually Token of Life just left there on the ground. Dr. Pulse are going to come in and pick it up. But I was going to say, with all the push potential that they have, I mean, it would not surprise me. They do, however, pick off Wretched Hag at the top lane. Yeah. So a really nice job right there. Wretched Hag not going for the for the Nullstone, instead of going for an early Hellflower, and already picking up an early post haste as well. I can't really fault her for picking up the early post haste, especially when you got the farm. Being able to get around is incredibly important. Silhouette in a little bit of trouble. Looks like she's going to end up falling, despite using the ultimate right there. Trying to switch off and on, but she will end up falling. Dr. Pulsar burns the token right there. Silhouette, however, will not be coming back. A curse. He's going to end up falling here as well, more than likely. Yes, he does. And like it was Succubus who picked up the kill on that one. So using the ultimate there. So really, they just continue to not make any mistakes. Saishi is playing 100% effectively. You see Warbeast with the Invis rune right now, looking for an opportunity to perhaps open up on this Polywog Priest and just add insult to injury. You see him kind of hanging around there. Tundra does not have the ultimate for another 10 seconds. He's waiting for it. Oh, here we go. Here comes Dr. Repulsor, and the War Trap of Dr. Repulsor not going to do anything, obviously, to a hero like that who can just ultimate out of there. So perhaps, just going for whatever he could. Unfortunately, got the wrong target. Not sure that it would have made a difference with Warbeast farming the way he is. He could have simply and 1800 life, by the way. He could have easily just auto attacked those whatever Polywog wards down and gotten out of there. So, yeah, at this point, not much of any hope for the Legion team to get back in this game. But if there was, it's going to start, again, with that Silhouette trying to repair the farm that she has. They really need to minimize on the deaths. And if you look at the other players, Plague Rider and Accursed, I mean, they're doing their job. I mean, they're trying to support when they can. They are at least avoiding death. Polywog Priest, I understand he's a hero that needs farm to be effective, especially looking to pick up that portal key, but dying 8 times is not... That's just not acceptable. Not acceptable as a professional player, and it's not just about him being bad as much as it is this Legion team or this Hellborn team really keeping the pressure up. Yeah, it's relentless here, and we do see at the bottom lane Hydra once again playing the Wretched Hag. He's just keeping the pressure up himself as well as the rest of the team. He's now 6-1-3 after that kill
which happened to be on a Plague Rider. He's going to actually have a Hellflower here in the very near future himself, as we already said. You know, he went that post-haste first as well, which has definitely been a big pickup. Legion team, they're going to go for their first tower push of the game now, 21 minutes in, and they are going to get it here. Port's coming in, Dr. Pulsar coming in as well, and actually Tundra getting locked down. In comes Warbeast. The Puzzle Box minions come out. You see Tundra just Portal King away. Calamate is doing what he can to do some CC, but of course he ends up going down. Silhouette, the real Silhouette, going to get locked down there by Silhouette, or by Succubus, excuse me, with the Succubus hold, and she will fall as well. The shield from a curse on top of Tundra. Tundra, though, being chased down. You see Dr. Pulse with that haste, and he is just quick. Oh, what an explosion right there on a Tundra. The Puzzle Box level 3 Mauler. I believe that was a lot of damage from that, on top of even the Heartache from Succubus. Just got bursted down, and oh, by the way, Wretchdag pushing the bottom tower while that's all happening. So I think it's safe to say we're really at a point of Saishi. It's just too much to handle now, and for Boce, you know, they're down 0-1. Obviously, if they lose here, it's 100% over. I guess in their mind, you know, it's simply put, let's just play it out, see what happens, and just have fun with it almost. But I think it's honestly safe to say that Saishi will be victorious here in game number 2. And that means, of course, if the 99% certainty that I have, if it does happen, that they'll pick up their first win here at the group stages. And unfortunately, Boce will fall to 0-3 after that. But it ain't official till that Concevo goes through or the World Tree dies. So, but it is close.
Yeah. Again, we're just going to have to wait and see exactly what they do. But I definitely agree with you. It's at the point to where this lead is just insurmountable. Even if Silhouette was able to completely recover farm, and you know, you saw them, they actually did a pretty decent amount of damage early on. Wretched Hag in a little bit of trouble, but she's going to be able to blink out before anybody else is able to. Like if Silhouette had been able to afford you know, Portal Key by now, maybe they'd be able to like work something to get some picks. But as it stands, or even Polywalk Priest, but as it stands right now, I mean, Tundra can get ahead of everybody and initiate, but there's nothing else he can do after that.
Oh, nice job by Chris right there. He puts the shield on a 5-second arrow to allow Silhouette to move, but unfortunately she runs into both Warbeast and Wretched Hag as well. And dies shortly after. So Curse again doing his part, trying to keep his teammates alive. Not going to be long enough there. He hits the R just in time. That Plague is bouncing around. A lot of damage, actually. But Warbeast and Valkyrie will both live. That's just how much of a lead they have right here. The Valkyrie Prism helps keep Valkyrie alive as well. You see the Succubus hole coming up from Succubus. Finishing off Polywalk Priest yet again his 10th death. As Tundra also goes down as the minions and Dr. Pulsar comes back in. I got to think for Boce, you know, is this even fun anymore? Really? I mean, what is the point? Might as well just throw out the concede and be done with it. Put us out of our misery. In fact, there we go. There's the vote. GG well played is being called. And it is going to be official, it looks like. As Saishi will defeat Boce there. And there it is. 2-0 here in this best of 3. And again, that means Saishi is now 1-2 for Boost Cabor, a.k.a. Boce. They are now 0-3, unfortunately. So again, a team we don't know too much about. Really, both these teams we don't really know much about. But Saishi, I love that second game, man. I love how, you know, that first game by no means it wasn't a rollover. Yet in the second game, they went with a very unique lineup. Succubus, Dr. Pulsar, the Warbeast thrown in there. Hey, they made it work, so props to them for that.
Yeah. I mean, it was a couple of good games. I mean, the first game was definitely, you know, we talked about the mistakes that were made on both team sides, and that really helped to extend the game to, you know, past the 15-minute mark. This time, Boce continued to make some of those mistakes, but Saishi played almost flawlessly throughout the majority. I mean, the mid lane definitely, I think, was won by Boce, but the other lanes just there was nothing that they could do. And Hydra, he's played 2 really great games here. You know, he had his first game of Monkey King, where I believe he went like 20-3 in that game, and then finishing up 7-1 on Wretched Hag at 450 gold per minute. That Bloodlust